The cage was cold. Metal bars pressed against her bare arms as she sat curled in the corner, knees to her chest. Her name was gone, her clothes were torn, her voice silent. The market lights above flickered purple and red, and every time someone passed her cage, she held her breath. They called her Lot 47. Not daughter. Not girl. Not even living. The slavers shoved her in the back row of the market, away from the wealthy buyers. She's weak, they said. Too quiet. No fire left in her. She had once been part of a noble house on the planet Veralis. Her hair used to shine with blue crystals braided by her sisters. Now it was dirty, matted, and falling over her bruised eyes. Her family had sold her to pay off a blood debt. Number. Trial, no goodbye. Just one short message. You are not our concern anymore. The alien traders laughed when they threw her into the cage. They locked a shock collar around her neck and clipped it to the bars. She couldn't even stand straight. If she moved too fast, it would buzz. If she cried out, it would sting. Her world was pain and silence. The marketplace buzzed with noise buyers. Shouting, guards yelling, cages rattling. She didn't lift her head, not until a strange sound cut through the air. Heavy boots. Calm steps, slow, controlled. She looked up. A human man walked through the market aisle, his eyes cold and steady. He was different from the others. He wasn't laughing, wasn't shouting. He wasn't rich looking, his clothes were worn, his coat torn at the edges, and one glove was missing. But there was something in his face that made even the guards step aside. The slaver beside her cage sneered and spat. Don't waste your time here, human. This one's broken. The man didn't respond. He crouched beside her cage. Their eyes met. She froze. He didn't look away. He didn't laugh. He didn't call her ugly like the others. He just stared, like he saw her, like he knew. Who did this to you? He asked in a soft voice. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. She hadn't spoken in days. Maybe longer. The slaver grunted. Not for sale, unless you're stupid. Enough to pay double. Still, the human didn't move. I'll give you 5,000 credits, he said. The slaver laughed. She's not worth half that. Then why not take it? The man replied, voice calm. The slaver paused. Greedy eyes narrowed. Make it 6. The man stood. Done. The slaver smirked and walked to the payment terminal. The girl's heart pounded. She didn't understand. What was happening? Was this another trick? Another punishment? He unlocked the cage, and she crawled backward, shaking. I'm not going to hurt you, he said quietly. Let's get you out of here. He reached for the chain on her collar, but she flinched. He stopped. Then, instead, he took off his coat and gently wrapped it around her shoulders. It was heavy, warm, and smelled like firewood and wind. She didn't know why, but her eyes burned. She hadn't cried in so long. He didn't force her to stand. He didn't yank the chain. He just waited. Slowly, she crawled forward, still watching him. Still afraid, they walked together, her bare feet dragging across the stone ground, him shielding her from curious eyes. Some aliens whispered, "Why is a human buying trash?" Others muttered, "Stupid. That one's cursed." But the man didn't answer them. He kept walking until they reached the old freighter docked behind the market. The ship was ugly patched metal, rusted corners, but it looked like freedom. Inside. He showed her a small room with a clean bed, blankets, water. "You can rest here," he said. "No one will hurt you." She sat on the edge of the bed, too stunned to move. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked up and slowly shook her head. He nodded, understanding. "I'm Cole." Then he left, closing the door softly. She stared at the walls. Her hands trembled. Was this real? Later that night, she peeked out of the room. He was asleep in the hallway, using a rolled-up jacket as a pillow. He hadn't locked the door. He hadn't tied her down. He hadn't taken anything. She sat back on the bed, confused. Her chest hurt in a strange way. Not from pain, but from something else. Hope. Just as she began to drift into sleep, a sharp knock hit the ship's door. Then a voice shouted loud, cruel, and alien. "You've stolen property, human. Open up, she belongs to us." She jumped from the bed. Her collar buzzed. Footsteps thundered outside, and Cole wasn't waking up. The pounding on the ship's door grew louder. Voices outside barked in a language thick with threat. She crouched beside the bed, heart racing. Her fingers clutched the coat the human Cole had given her. It still smelled like him, like warmth. She looked at the hallway. Cole hadn't moved. He was still lying there, asleep or unconscious. Was it a trap? She crept closer. His chest rose and fell. He was breathing, but sweat glistened on his forehead. His body was tense. The wounds from the fight must have been worse than she thought. Another slam at the door. "Open this hatch or we'll burn it down." She didn't know the rules of this world, but she knew what would happen if they got in. She had seen it too many times. Slavers always came back for what they called property, and now she was worth more than ever. Someone had paid high just to make her disappear. She stood and pressed her hand gently to Cole's shoulder. "Wake up," she whispered. His eyes snapped open. His hand moved to his side, ready to draw a weapon, but stopped when he saw her face. "They're here," she said softly. He blinked, then nodded. "Stay inside the room, no matter what, but no matter what." She stepped back as he pushed himself up with a groan. He limped to the main door, hands steady even though pain flickered in his eyes. Outside, a group of bounty enforcers waited. One of them was the same slaver who had sold her. "She's not yours," the man growled through the speaker. "She's stolen stock." Cole flipped a switch. "I paid. I've got the data chip to prove it. She was sold illegally. Her family put a bounty on her life. That means she's ours, dead or alive." Inside, the girl's hands shook. Her family. They really wanted her gone. Cole stared at the screen. "If she's in danger, that bounty's void. You know the law." The slaver spat. "You gonna fight us over a broken alien girl, human?" Cole paused, then said something no one expected. "She's already more human than you." There was silence on the other side. Then gunfire. The blast rocked the small ship. The side hull lit up with sparks. Cole ducked behind cover and returned fire. His aim was fast, precise. He didn't miss. Two of the attackers dropped before the rest even saw where he was. She watched through a crack in the door, eyes wide. Breath held. He was fighting for her. Not for money, not for pride, just for her. She couldn't understand it. No one had ever done that. The attackers tried to circle the ship, but Cole hit the emergency shield. Blue energy wrapped around the hull like a dome. They were locked out for now, but Cole was bleeding again. He limped back inside, clutching his side. You all right?" he asked her. She nodded quickly. You didn't give me back. Why would I?" He said. "I'm just nothing." "No," he said, sitting down. "You were treated like nothing. That's not the same." She opened her mouth, but had no words. He glanced at her again. "I saw it in your eyes, even in that cage. You still had something left." She touched her neck. The shock collar was still there. She didn't feel strong. He noticed and reached out. "May I?" he asked. She gave a small nod. He took a tool from his belt and gently pried open the collar's lock. With a hiss and a spark, it popped open and fell to the floor. She gasped. Her neck felt so light, like it could float. Tears filled her eyes. She hadn't cried in so long. "You're free now," he said. "No," she whispered. "I'm hunted now." He didn't deny it. "Yeah, but you're not alone." She sat beside him in silence for a while, then asked, "Why did you come?" "To the market?" He shrugged. "Didn't plan to, was just passing through." "But you bought me." He looked at her. You looked at me like I was still a person. I couldn't leave you in a cage." She blinked, surprised. "Don't look at him," the slaver had said, but she had. And that one look had changed everything. Before she could speak again, the ship's scanner beeped. Cole stood and checked the screen. His face went pale. "What is it?" she asked, standing behind him. "They're not bounty hunters," he said. She tilted her head. "Then who?" He turned the screen toward her. A black ship hovered in orbit. Sharp, silent. The symbol on its side made her legs go weak, that it was her family's crest. "They've come," she whispered. Cole looked at her with steady eyes. "They won't take you. Not while I breathe." The ship shook as the shadow of the royal vessel passed overhead. Cole closed the shield gates and locked every hatch manually. His hands were fast, his steps firm, but she saw the worry behind his eyes. She sat in the corner of the small room. Again, this time she wasn't chained. She wasn't locked in. And yet, she felt trapped by fear. Outside, the ship from her homeworld hovered like a silent ghost. She whispered, "That symbol." "It was my house crest," Cole nodded. "There. Not here to talk." She lowered her eyes. Her voice cracked. "I thought they forgot me, that I meant nothing." "They didn't forget," he said, loading his weapon. "They just waited until someone else stood up for you. Now they want to punish both of us." She flinched. "I didn't mean to bring danger." "You didn't," he said firmly. "They did." She watched him move. Every part of him screamed soldier quick, sharp, controlled. But he didn't act like other warriors she'd seen. He didn't boast. He didn't yell. He just cared, even when he had no reason to. She stood up slowly and walked to him. Her steps were unsure, but she wanted to try. She wanted to understand. "Why do you help me?" she asked. He paused, then looked her in the eyes. "Because you looked like someone who used to mean something. And I know what it feels like to lose everything." She blinked. "You lost someone," he nodded. "A long time ago, my sister. She was like you, brave but soft-spoken. They took her from me. I couldn't save her." The silence grew heavier. "Between them, I failed her," he said quietly. "I won't fail you." Her chest tightened. She opened her mouth, but then alarms blared. Lights flashed red. "They're boarding," Cole muttered, turning toward the ship's lower deck. "We have 2 minutes." Her hands clenched. She wanted to run. She wanted to hide. But her feet didn't move, he noticed. "Don't be afraid," he said gently, reaching out to touch her shoulder. She looked up into his eyes. They weren't soft, but they weren't cold either. Just real. "Alive. I don't know what to feel anymore," she whispered. "Hurt, scared, confused, all at once." He nodded. "That means you're healing. Dead hearts don't feel." Tears slid down her cheek. He turned back to the door, ready to fight again. But then she stepped in front of him. "I don't want you to fight alone," she said. "You shouldn't have to fight at all." "I shouldn't have to, but I will." Cole hesitated, then gave a small smile. "All right, but if it gets bad, run." Before she could reply, the metal door blew open. 4 soldiers stepped inside, dressed in silver armor marked with royal symbols. Their guns raised fast, but Cole was faster. He shot first, forcing them to dive for cover. She ducked behind a crate, shaking, but watching. Something in her changed in that moment. Fear didn't hold her like before. It was there, but behind it was something stronger. Anger. A deep fire. Not at Cole, not even at herself. At them. The ones who locked her up. The ones who treated her like trash. One of the guards spotted her and aimed. She raised her hands, screaming, but something strange happened. The air between her palms shimmered, then pulsed. A glowing wall of energy burst out, stopping the bullet in mid-air. The guard flew backward from the blast. Cole turned in shock. What was that? She looked down at her hands. They were glowing. The room shimmered around her fingertips. I don't know, she whispered. Cole stepped toward her carefully. That wasn't Tech, that was you. She looked terrified. This is why they locked me away. My power, it's unstable. Cole stared at her. Then he nodded once. Then we'll figure it out together. More soldiers stormed the hallway. Cole tossed her his backup blaster. Know how to use one. She stared at it. Then nodded slowly. She didn't want to hurt anyone. But she wouldn't be taken again, not like before. Together, they stood shoulder to shoulder as enemies closed in. But now, she wasn't just the scared girl in a cage. She was something more, something dangerous. And she had someone beside her who saw that not as a curse, but as something worth saving. As they braced for the next wave, Cole asked one last question, voice calm in the chaos. What should I call you? She hesitated. Then, for the first time in what felt like forever, she spoke clearly. My name is Araya. Asterisk. The ship was dark, no lights. No hum of power. Just the cold silence, broken by the soft click of boots on metal. Araya clutched the blaster tighter. The glow from her skin had faded. Her energy, whatever it was, only sparked in fear. Now fear was thick in her chest, but her hands still trembled. Cole stood in front of her, his body tense, eyes scanning the shadows. Then came the voice again, low, calm, cruel. You've made quite the mess. Human, the voice said. You should have walked away when you had the chance. Cole didn't answer. A figure stepped from the dark. He wasn't just another soldier. His armor was layered with black glass. The crest on his chest was outlined in blood red. Araya gasped. Commander. Vyrek, she whispered. He had been the enforcer of her house. The one who carried out her father's punishments. Cold, loyal, unstoppable. Vyrek's eyes fell on Araya. He smiled without warmth. Still alive, little exile? He said, you were supposed to vanish. Cole raised his weapon. She's not going anywhere with you. Vyrek's head tilted. You think you matter, human. You're nothing but a smuggler with a hero complex. I'm the one standing between you and her, Cole said. And that will be your last mistake. In a blink, Vyrek moved. Faster than a normal man. He struck first, his blade sliding from his gauntlet, aiming straight for Cole's chest, but Cole blocked with his arm. Metal clanged against armor. He pushed back and fired. Vyrek rolled aside, dodging the shot, and kicked a crate across the room. It crashed between them. Araya ducked low, her heart pounding. Cole gritted his teeth, now bleeding from the shoulder. You okay? He called. I can fight, she said. Double quotes. No, you need to run. I'm done running. Before he could argue, Vyrek turned toward her. You still don't understand, girl, Vyrek said. You are not special. You are dangerous. Your power is not a gift. It is a mistake. That's why your family sold you. No, she said softly. They were wrong to fear me. He raised his weapon, pointing it at her. I'll end you. Before you forget your place. Then Cole moved. He didn't hesitate. Didn't shout. He simply stepped between Araya and the weapon and said 3 words. Over my dead body. The blast fired. But Araya reached forward, instinct taking over. Her hands lit up with light, bright as lightning. The blast hit a wall of her energy and shattered like glass. Cole turned. You saved me. She looked down at her hands. I didn't even try. It just happened, Vyrek growled. So the power awakens again. Fine. Let's see if it can protect him when I snap his neck. He rushed forward. Cole met him in the middle of the room. The 2 men clashed fists, blades, and metal. Cole was smaller, less armored, but he moved like someone who had fought for survival more times than he could count. Every strike was smart. Every dodge timed. But Vyrek was stronger, faster, trained. Since childhood. And every time Cole fell, he got up slower. Araya couldn't take it anymore. She ran forward and grabbed the blade Vyrek had dropped earlier. Her hands shook, but she remembered something Cole had said once. Fear doesn't make you weak, giving up does. So she screamed and threw the blade. Virak turned at the sound, and the knife hit him in the side of the head, scraping his helmet. Not deep enough to kill, but enough to distract. That's all Cole needed. He struck with a punch that sent Virak crashing into the ship wall. Cole dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Blood ran down his face. "You, all right?" he muttered. "I should ask you that," Araya said, helping him up. He laughed softly. "Told you not to fight. Too late." They turned to Virak, who was still moving, but then came the sound of incoming ships. Outside the window, new lights appeared. 3 ships hovering above the freighter, sleek, royal. Araya stepped to the window, her face pale. "I know those ships," she said. "They're my house's guardians." "More soldiers?" Cole asked. She shook her head. "No, those are loyal to me. My mother's crest is on them." She must have learned the truth. Cole blinked. "Is she coming to save you?" "I don't know," Araya whispered. "Or to finish what she started." The woman's voice echoed from the screen clear, calm and cold. "Step outside, Araya, alone, or the human will be destroyed." The message ended. Silence filled the small ship like fog. Cole looked at Araya. "Is that your mother?" She didn't answer. Her legs felt numb. Her breath was stuck in her throat. She hadn't heard that voice since the night she was dragged away in chains. Araya turned slowly from the window. "She used to braid my hair when I was little," she whispered. "Now she threatens to kill anyone near me." Cole stepped forward. "We don't have to answer them. We can run." Araya smiled weakly. "They'll chase us to the edge of the galaxy. Then I'll run with you." She looked at him, and for a moment, something fragile passed between them. Something human, real, but it didn't last. Because outside, 3 royal ships hovered like vultures. And inside, a warrior named Cole was bleeding from wounds he chose to take for her. She stepped toward the door. "Araya, I won't let them hurt you," she said. "They want me, not you. You don't know that. I do." She placed her hand over his heart. "I felt what you risked for me. Now let me do the same." Cole stared at her, jaw clenched. Then he whispered, "What are you?" She looked down. "I don't know." Her hands glowed softly, not bright like before, but like a star hiding behind clouds. "I'm not a soldier. I'm not a queen. I'm just broken pieces of both." She turned toward the hatch, but he grabbed her arm. Not to stop her, but to say something. "You're not alone in this." Araya nodded, her voice barely a breath. "Then let me walk into the storm and see if I still break." The ship door hissed open. She stepped into the light. Outside, wind howled across the landing platform. Guards lined both sides, rifles raised. And at the center, standing like a statue in silk armor, was her mother. Tall, silver hair pinned in spirals. Her eyes cold as glass. "You survived," the queen said. "Unfortunate." Araya's throat tightened. "Why are you here?" "To finish what your father started. I never hurt anyone." "No, but you were born different. And difference brings fear. Fear brings rebellion." "I didn't choose this power." Her mother's voice cut sharp. "And I didn't choose a daughter with unstable genes." Araya felt her glow rise again, small sparks running along her fingers. The queen nodded at the guards. "Seize her. Use suppressors." But before they could move, a blast tore through the sky. A second ship appeared, black, massive, old. It didn't match the royal designs. Cole's ship? No, bigger. Ancient. And it was broadcasting her heartbeat. Every pulse from Araya's chest echoed through the platform deep. Thunderous, alive. The royal guards hesitated. Then the ship's voice spoke. Identity confirmed. Princess Araya. Bloodline match. Activating protocol. Ascension. The queen staggered back. Impossible. Araya blinked. What is that? The ship spoke again. Royal signal accepted. Starforged protector online. Cole's voice came through her earpiece, shaky but urgent. Araya, that ship was buried, dead for centuries, but your DNA, it woke it up. Her hands glowed brighter. She turned back to her mother. You tried to erase me, bury me like that ship. I tried to save the kingdom from you. No, you tried to rule. Without a challenge. The wind roared louder. Her glow began to rise around her body like fire. The guards backed away. Even her mother stepped back. Araya didn't shout. She didn't cry, Dad. She simply said, I'm not your mistake. I'm your future. Behind her, the Starforged ship lowered, itself with a gentle hum. A bridge extended to her feet, waiting. But just as she stepped forward, Vyric, bloodied and furious, burst onto the platform. No. He roared, she dies now. He raised his weapon. A shot rang out, but it wasn't his. From behind, Cole had fired one bullet, clean and fast. Vyric fell. Dead. Rih turned, stunned. Cole leaned on the ship's rail, gun still smoking. Over. My dead body, remember? He said weakly, then collapsed. Asterisk smoke drifted in the air. The body of Commander Vyric lay motionless on the platform. The guards froze, unsure who to obey now. Araya's glowing form or the trembling queen, who no longer looked like royalty, only afraid. But Araya didn't see any of them. She dropped beside Cole, heart hammering. Cole! Wake up! His eyes were half shut, lips pale. Blood leaked through his side, slow but steady. He smiled faintly. Still, not dead. Not yet. She pressed her hands to the wound. You shouldn't have come after me. You're the only thing I ever did right, he whispered. Her vision blurred. She placed both glowing hands over his wound. A light surged through her fingers, stronger than before, warmer. The blood slowed. His skin began to knit. But it drained her every second. Felt like hours. Stay with me, she whispered. Don't leave me alone. I'm here, he murmured, eyes fluttering. Behind her, the sound of boots echoed again. The queen had raised her hand. Seize them, she barked. Kill the human, bring my daughter back. The guards lifted their weapons, but Araya stood. Her knees trembled. Her body ached. But her voice was fire. I won't run. She stepped in front of Cole, arms spread wide. If you want him, you go through me. The soldiers hesitated. This wasn't the quiet girl from before. This wasn't the broken daughter. This was something new. I am Araya of House Even. Blood of stars, voice of the throne you buried, and I choose him. The queen stepped forward, eyes narrowing. You think you're stronger than me? I don't think, Araya said. I feel, and that's why you'll lose. The Starforged ship behind her lit up. Symbols glowed across its hollowed language, forgotten even by the royals. The ship scanned the air and released a second message. Heart bond detected. Symmetry found. Princess and shield identified. Everyone stopped. What did it say? The queen demanded, but Araya knew. The ship had recognized Cole, not just as a protector, but something deeper. Bonded, matched, connected by choice, not blood. She looked down at him. He was awake now, blinking, hearing it too. You were meant for this, he whispered. She helped him stand, arm around his waist. Then the ship released one more command. Throne unlocked. Enter to ascend. A long ramp extended toward the platform. Golden light poured from the ship's heart. The queen backed away. You don't know what that throne does. You're not ready. I wasn't ready for a cage, Araya replied. But I broke free. She walked toward the ship slowly, holding Cole. Her eyes locked ahead. But before they could reach it, the queen gave her final command. Fire! A dozen guards lifted weapons. Cole stepped forward to shield her. But Araya raised her hand. not in fear but in calm. And when the bullets came, they stopped mid-air. Floating, silent, held by her will alone. Gasps echoed through the ranks. One guard dropped his weapon and fell to one knee. Then another, then a third, until they all did. The queen screamed, "Traitors!" But she stood alone. Araya looked back one last time. "You could have chosen love," she said. "You chose fear." Then she stepped inside the ship. The walls closed behind her with a hiss. Inside was no throne room. It was a living heart of metal and starlight. The throne pulsed with her heartbeat. Cole stood beside her, still bleeding but alive. "Are you sure?" he asked. "No," she said. "But I'm not afraid anymore." She sat. The moment her body touched the seat, the ship reacted. Wings of metal unfolded. Stars blinked across the ceiling. And then her mind opened. She saw across systems. She saw the pain of worlds. She saw her name whispered in old codes. As if it had been waiting, Cole reached for her hand. She grabbed it tight, and then the throne didn't feel like a seat. It felt like a heartbeat beneath her. Alive, listening, breathing with her. When Araya sat, it welcomed her, not like a ruler, but like something lost had come home. Light wrapped around her arms like silk. Old codes ran across the walls, speaking in flashes of gold. Cole stood beside her, holding her hand as stars blinked around them. "Is this what power feels like?" She whispered. "No," he said softly. "This feels like truth." Outside, the royal guards had bowed. The queen had fled. The warships held position, waiting for orders from the new voice they could feel in their blood. The star air, but inside the throne room, Araya's mind was changing. She could see across planets, hear distress signals from colonies she'd never known. She felt the hunger of orphaned moons, the pain of wounded ships. Her gift, once a curse, now stretched across light years. But it wasn't just power. It was responsibility. And then a sound echoed inside the throne, a voice she hadn't heard in years, her father's. Not live. A message. A memory. "If you are hearing this, then our worst fear has come true. You, Araya, have survived." She went cold. "You carry something the universe feared once and will fear again. This ship responds to only one bloodline, yours. We locked it away, but blood has a way of returning." She wanted to scream, but the message continued. "If you choose the throne, you must choose what no ruler before you dared: compassion. Without it, this power will burn every star to ash." The message ended. She looked at Cole. He met her eyes. "Whatever you choose, I'll follow." She smiled through her pain. "Even if I'm not what you hoped, you're more than I hoped. And you're not mine because I saved you." He stepped forward and touched her cheek gently. "You're mine because you stayed." She leaned into his hand. Outside, a new alert triggered on the screen. Something was coming. Not royal, not known. A ship. No. A shadow. A dark presence was approaching fast, warping through space. Faster than standard drives. Older than any code. The throne translated its signal. Origin, exiled system. Status, awakened. Priority threat. Cole narrowed his eyes. "What is that?" She stood, her glow pulsing stronger now, controlled. "I don't know, but it heard me." A new voice cut through the ship's audio, slow, raspy, and ancient. "Child of light, you call yourself heir, but I was king when your stars were young." Cole stiffened. "That thing's not just a ship. It's alive," Araya nodded. "It's the last relic of the First War." The throne spoke again. "Enemy, Star Eater class, built to erase bloodlines. They made it to destroy people like you," Cole said, realizing. "No," Araya replied. "To destroy people who could end wars." The enemy was close now. Its shape was like a floating temple, black stone, silver scars, Red engines shaped like open mouths. It had no crew. It didn't need one. It only needed a target. The Starforged ship shook. The old systems trembled. But Araya did not. She walked to the command crystal and placed her hand on it. Her glow moved through the ship's core. The engines roared to life louder than they had in 1,000 years. Cole stood beside her. "What now?" She turned to him, eyes fierce. "Now. We teach it that I'm not just a survivor." She closed her hand around the crystal. "I'm the end of what they started." The ship launched, faster than any known vessel. It didn't fly, it leapt, bending time and mass like paper. The enemy saw her coming. It fired. A beam of dark matter lit up space like a burning tear. But Araya moved. She raised one hand and the throne answered. A wall of pure light, shaped by her will, split the beam in two. Cole stared in awe. "You're not just a queen." "No," she said, smiling. "I'm the last thing they didn't expect, a heart." She launched the final command. The Starforged ship dove into the enemy vessel's core, not to destroy, but to heal. Inside the enemy, there was a mind twisted, ancient, forgotten. Araya reached it, and she didn't fight it. She forgave it. It screamed, and then it cracked, broke, turned to dust. Silence returned to space. The ship floated peacefully, wrapped in light. Inside, Araya fell into Cole's arms. He held her tight, whispering, "It's over." She nodded. "We ended something no army could." Months later, in the outer zones of free space, people told stories of the girl who once had no name, now called the Starburn Queen. And by her side, always, was the man who never asked to rule, but stood when no one else did. And when someone asked him who she was, he smiled and said, "She's mine." Not with chains, but with choice.